fights to make after UFC 330. I'm only going to focus on the winners. Um, Jeremiah Wells beat Mektak Bagorobai. That was honestly insane. There were so many upsets on this card. It's honestly insane. But Robai has to be the worst one because I felt like how do you lose to Jeremiah Wells? Anyway, I think Jeremiah Wells deserves someone in his age range and a fight that's probably going to be exciting. Also, shout out to Shawshot McGee. I used a couple of his fights to make next. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them. So shout out to him for that one. So Jeremiah Wells, I think the next person that he should be facing is in it's Nicholas Dalby, right? Yeah, it's Dalby. I think that would make for an exciting fight. I think Dalby, if I'm not mistaken, Dalby was scheduled. I think he was scheduled in May, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that would be somewhat of an exciting fight. I don't think they fought before. Um, yeah, I think, and both of them actually needed. They are both in the same age range. I think it would be an interesting fight. And they're not too washed that the fight is not going to be entertaining to watch. And ultimately, whatever happens, one of them comes out of this with a win. And Nicholas Dalby is a little bit highly ranked than what do you call him, Jeremiah Wells, and he's coming off of a loss. So I think Dalby makes sense. And then when it comes to Neil Magny, another crazy upset. And I picked Neil Magny and I changed my mind, but it is what it is. I think Neil Magny deserves, and I think someone. I feel like Neil Magny has been put into the fire too much. Like people like Mike Malott, like he's been given so many prospects, like he deserves okay matches, like good matches that I still feel like would be somewhat interesting to see how they would play out. So I think that the person that Neil Magny should be getting. Plus, he's highly ranked. He's ranked higher than Neil Magny. Um, I think Muslim Salihov would be a good fight for Neil Magny. Once again, he's not scheduled. I don't think they fought before, which is honestly crazy. I would have thought that at this point they might have actually crossed the paths. So I think Neil Magny definitely. I think this would be a good fight in my opinion. Um, On to the next one. Lucas Fernando. I liked Lucas Fernando's performance. I think I would like to see him against a striker, but I agree with Shawshot McGee on this one. I think Fernando should get another striker. Ming Yang Zhang, I think this would make for an exciting fight. I'd be excited to watch this one. So yeah, I think Fernando next, especially because he's still new in the UFC and still try. He still has to build up his record and get used to UFC level competition. And Ming Yang Zhang might have lost a couple, but I mean his biggest weakness is his grappling, and I think what's his name, Fernando shares the same weakness. So that means we will get a really good stand-up fight, especially because both of them are pretty decent strikers. So I like this matchup for Fernando and Ming Yang Zhang as well. Trayshawn Gore. So on this one, Shawshot McGee suggested something, and I was like, but it's unfair to make Trayshawn Gore fight downwards after he won so impressively. And I think Trayshawn Gore is now on a streak, like a 2-fight win streak or something like that. So he deserves like a decent matchup. So I don't think it would be fair to make him fight like down the rankings. So I think the next person that he should fight is Marvin Vittori. Marvin Vittori is on a losing streak. He was also scheduled and he got injured. So the timeline for him to heal as well as Trayshawn Gore's timeline will probably more or less be on the same wavelength. So I'd say Trayshawn Gore deserves like a step up in competition, and Marvin Vittori is not that highly ranked, you know. So I feel like Marvin Vittori needs the win, and I think it's going to be a good test for Trayshawn Gore. Plus, Gore has like decent wrestling. He has good striking. I think this is a winnable match for Trayshawn Gore. But at the same time, this is also a winnable match for Marvin Vittori. So I think it works for both athletes, and I think it would be an interesting fight. So yeah, I think Marvin Vittori should be next. As far as Dante, Shawshot McGee suggested Chaos Williams, but the thing is, I feel like Dante, I don't know, he looked okay. He looked good at middleweight, in my opinion, even though he was swinging flipping wild. But I think he looked good. So just in case he decides to stay at middleweight, I think the next person he should be fighting should be Mansour Abdul Malik. Mansour Abdul Malik obviously lost on this particular card, so I think it would work out perfectly as far as timeline. Plus, Mansour Abdul Malik has only lost to two people. We can still use him to build up prospects records. So I think both of them fighting each other makes more sense to me, because it works for Dante, because Mansour Abdul Malik is highly ranked, but he's not that good that you'd feel like, no, that's too much of a competition. Plus, Mansour Abdul Malik has some level of wrestling. I mean, after today I question it, but still. So I think it'll make for an interesting fight. And I don't know, I think it gives both guys an opportunity to win, although Mansour Abdul Malik at this point doesn't feel like deserves to be inside the UFC. So, so yeah, that's who I think Dante should get. So on to the next one, Charles Johnson. Now I like what's his name, Shawshot McGee's suggestion on this particular fight. I wouldn't have even thought about this. I like this suggestion. I wonder why this match has not happened. I think Charles Johnson, this is a very winnable fight. A former top 5, ranked contender. This would be a good win, and I mean he's honest kid as well. He's lost a couple of fights, so I think Charles Johnson versus Amir Albazi would make for a good fight. It's good enough to be on a main card of a fight night. I wouldn't even be too mad at it if it was like a featured fight on a numbered card. Okay, maybe not, but I mean, I wouldn't be too mad at it, to be honest. Right? This is an interesting fight. So yeah, Chidin Jokwani. Initially I wanted to give this next opponent to Neil Magny, but stylistically I was like, flip. This opponent would be perfect for Chidin Jokwani, because I think hopefully it might produce, especially when you look at how Chidin Jokwani fights. Like he's not necessarily going to wait for you to do something. He's going to strike and land and find a way to actually make it work. So I think this would be the perfect matchup for both of them, and I think it would be an exciting fight. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Wonderboy Thompson has said his next fight is going to be his last. He doesn't like. Why would we give him a wrestler? Let's not do that. And Chidin Jokwani is somewhere closer to Stephen Wonderboy's age, so I think it works perfectly. I'm actually excited. I hope they make this fight. I think both of them are strikers, really good strikers. And no one is going. Maybe Chidin Jokwani might try to shoot, but I don't think Chidi is good enough to give Stephen Wonderboy problems as far as grappling goes. I think Wonderboy can defend that takedown. So this will probably largely be a stand-up fight. and an exciting one in my opinion. So, and once again, they are both more or less around the same age. So I mean, it wouldn't be too unfair to either one. Both of them are not necessarily wrestlers, you know. I think this would be a really good fight. Um, so yeah, that fight makes me excited. On to the next one, Esteban Ribovics. For Ribovics, let me actually check something. For Ribovics, um, I agree with Shoshone McGee on this one. I think Chris Duncan, especially because he's coming off of a loss, and they're not too far apart from each other. Even though Duncan is highly ranked, but they're not. It's not that far away from Esteban Ribovics. So I think a fight between them makes sense. I mean, I'm not like going insane over it, but I would be interested to see this fight. Anyway, on to the next one. Dustin Stoltzfus. I like this as well. I mean, Stoltzfus is not necessarily the best fighter. Um, and I think even Jacob Malkoon is not like necessarily a a contender or like that prospect that we're looking at and we're like, oh my god, I can't wait to see him against Hamzat, or I can't wait to see him against Caio Boralho or Nassourdine Imavov. That I don't know. At most he might get into the top 15, the bottom 15, and maybe get out again. So I think a fight between him and Stoltzfus is, I mean, it makes sense. They're not necessarily high level, but Malkoon is a little bit better than Dustin Stoltzfus. I mean, he might not be, who knows, especially after what Stoltzfus was doing today. Um, so yeah, I agree with this matchup. Um, on to the next one. Initially, when Shoshone McGee suggested this fight, I was like, but why give him a lowly ranked contender when Jalen Turner is doing so well? And then I checked UFC rankings and I was like, what? This guy is ranked. I mean, I was so shocked. Like, Tofik is actually ranked, I think, number 14 or number 13. How? How does that even make sense? Anyway, I've wanted, even when we did like who should be next. I think it's two fight cards ago, I think, or maybe it's the last one. I don't know, but still, I did put him against Tofik Musayev, right? And now it makes sense because Tofik is ranked, and obviously Jalen Turner said he wants to have a number next to his name. So I think Tofik cheats so much that I feel like he deserves Jalen Turner. You know, so I genuinely would like, this is a fight that I hope the UFC makes. So yeah, Tofik versus Jalen Turner is the fight to make. On to the next one, Mackenzie Dern. I was watching the post fight. Mackenzie Dern is planning to not fight so that she can be the champion for a lot longer. Like, she's going to defend the belt once a year so that she can be the champion for as long as possible and find a way to use the title of being a champion to, I don't know, grow herself in whatever way possible. Which I'm not too mad at, but like, why are you holding up the division? Like, because she understands, and whenever they asked her about fighting Weili Zhang, she was very dismissive of that idea, as if like, nah, that's not what we should be doing. I mean, she was even suggesting Weili Zhang should retire. Like it's one of the craziest things. So I mean, I think I've already revealed who I want to fight. The strawweight division is honestly trash. The fact that Valentina Shevchenko was able to do that to Weili Zhang speaks to how badly this division is, right? And the only person who's a level above everyone else is Weili Zhang. The problem is Zhang is a little bit older now, so I don't know how that's going to work out. But I mean, I want to see Zhang versus Mackenzie Dern. Zhang is among the very few. There's no other strawweight, to be honest, that I feel like um, I don't know, is more interesting to watch. I mean, Mackenzie Dern tried, but man. Anyway, main event: Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev at this point, anyone who disputes, I saw MMA Guru going insane over the fact that Islam Makhachev won. I don't know how that guy's brain works, dude. Like, he obviously won the first 2 rounds. I'm willing to say that the third and fourth round could have gone to Ian Garry, but the fifth round, how do you dispute that? Like, how do you dispute that? So, in any case, Islam Makhachev at this point, I think it's just him and John Jones. When we talk about the greatest of all time, obviously John Jones with the title fights is a little bit heavy, but if Islam can get in maybe 2 more or 3 more title fights, I think there's no more questions. Even if he doesn't reach the number of title fights that John Jones has, I feel like the level of competition that Islam would have fought, and beyond that, John Jones defended against like Stipe Miocic at heavyweight. Like, how special is that? It's not even close. Like, you can say, no, that's a legend. Yeah, no, a legend way past his prime. So it's like bragging about beating DC right now. Like, what's the point of that? Right. So I think Islam is, at this point, at this current point, you can make an argument for him to be for him as the greatest of all time, especially holding the record for the longest win streak. MMA Guru hates like Muslims so much that the idea of the greatest of all time being a Muslim and someone from Russia is as one of the most mind effing things he can imagine. In his head, it's supposed to be someone who looks like GSP. Anyway, I think the next person that Islam should fight, I like what Shoshot McGee suggested. I initially wanted Morales, but after seeing that the biggest win for Morales was Sean Brady, and before that it was like Gilbert Burns, and Gilbert Burns was not even ranked at that point, and then it gets tricky and dicey after that with Neil Magny, Jake Matthews. So I think Morales needs to do a little bit more work before he gets the title shot. I think Carlos Prates actually deserves it. And it's gonna be interesting because even though I'm a massive fan of Islam Makhachev, I can admit that was a really hard fight for Islam Makhachev. And the thing is, Ian Garry is not as aggressive, but Carlos Prates' aggressiveness will work against him, because anyone who's aggressive, I think that's why Islam Makhachev was a bit frustrated with the fact that Ian was not engaging enough, because the moment you are aggressive, it creates an opening for Islam to shoot takedowns, right? So if you fight the way Ian Garry fought, I think it's going to make it difficult for Islam to take you down. The other issue is that also means you can't fight the way you want to fight, right? Carlos Prates is aggressive whenever he fights. And it's going to be interesting to see, because Carlos Prates has knockout power, and Islam Makhachev was being tagged a lot. So if somehow Carlos Prates can defend takedowns the way Ian Garry did, Carlos Prates might be a champion. All right. So I'm a big fan of Islam at this point. I feel like his legacy is solidified. I want to see him against the best right now. I mean, he's been fighting the best, but I don't believe in cuddling my favorite fighters. So I think Carlos Prates is the next best thing outside of Morales and Shafkat. Right. So yeah, I think Carlos Prates should be next. Um, yeah, that concludes it. This weekend was probably the biggest weekend for the channel, man. From the live watch along to the shorts, starting to pick up with the new format. The standard videos did really well. So shout out, man. And thank you to everyone who supports the channel and who watches religiously. I appreciate and love all of you so much. Shout out to Shawshot McGee. Until next time, I love and appreciate all of you. Deuces.